So Monica and her high school sweetheart, Tim, grew up in Arthur, Illinois, left town, but returned to their hometown, to which they are giving great community service. She's a retired veterinary technician. Is that right? But they've done so many more things. They had a hot air balloon business for 15 years. Sold that and got a powered parachute business. Sold that and now he's got a fixed wing if you want to ride.
Working on that.
Yeah. All right. Served on her school board down there for 8 years and was secretary. They are members of the Arthur United Methodist Church. Now, some of you may not have heard about what that fabulous church does, but our PDG, Larry Howell, knows because he helps volunteer. Every Wednesday night, they have a community meal that serves an average of 250 people in Arthur, Illinois. No charge. And the president of the Arthur Club this year, Bruce Wyman, is the pastor. And I said to him once, how do you do that? He says, I don't know. It's like the loaves and the fishes. They just put out a bucket and they're sponsors and they get enough money to sponsor this meal. And Larry washes dishes every Wednesday night, right?
Well, I have.
Among other things. And Bruce does too. And Monica helps serve. So also at the church they have a praise band, and Monica plays acoustic guitar for that. And with her church she's gone on mission trips to Nicaragua. In addition, she serves with Paw Print Ministries, which takes comfort dogs to nursing homes, hospitals, schools, and cancer clinics. On top of that, they have a 200-acre farm where they raise soybeans, corn, and beans. They have 5 hives, 3 dogs, 2 cats, and a teenager. So with all that, you wouldn't think she'd have time for Rotary. But 2.5 years ago, she joined Rotary. She's now a RILA counselor and stays all night with the teenage girls in the tents over at Muhammad, right?
Allerton.
At Allerton. So she didn't have enough to do, but somewhere, and I missed it, maybe you did too, there was a call that went out to our district that said, hey, there's an opportunity to go to India on a polio eradication mission. One person in our district answered that call, Miss Monica Miller. She's someone you should know. Please join me in welcoming her.
I was the only person from the state of Illinois, which I was really surprised at. I thought people from the Chicago, bigger, maybe urban areas would have more people, but I guess not. So I'm going to set my timer here. You're going to be my guy, right, Tim? So I can kind of keep track of things. I'm going to kind of crouch. I usually work in the room, so this is going to be different. I'm going to try to sit still. And I just hit the arrows?
Yep. Or the
Okay.
space bar.
I'm not technologically inclined, as you can tell. So we know this coming Thursday is World Polio Day. I'm sure you've been hearing a lot about that with all the sessions. We're this close is something we keep talking about. We're close, but we're not quite. We'll kind of touch base on a couple things about that later. I'm just going to crouch down here. Can you guys hear me okay like this? Is everybody good? All right, Tim, which one do I hit? No, you're just fine. Spacebar. Okay. So, did everybody bring something to drink? Anybody have water? Everybody have something to drink? Well, the reason I say that, can we get that light off, do you think? Oh, well, Tim. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're okay. Can everybody see that?
Let's turn them off.
Can you flip that switch? Yeah, that way there's not that glare on there. The other one. Maybe. There, now we can see. Okay, the reason I asked that is because there was a ruler in India who was going on a trip and to install, to the coronation of Edward VII, I believe it was, and he did not want to drink any water but his own. So he had some silversmiths use 14,000 silver coins, melted them down. This is all solid silver. There's no like little lines or anything in there, and it holds obviously 10,000 or 1,056 gallons of water, 760 pounds without the water in there. And there was 2 of those, and he had them haul that to London so he could go to the coronation because he did not want to drink their water. So I don't think any of you are that high maintenance, but it's pretty. No, it's just too hard that way. Thanks, Bill. Okay, so we'll say it's quiz time. Does anybody know what the population of India is? 1.3
billion.
Yeah, okay, so those are good guesses. And is India bigger or smaller than U.S.?
It's a third the size.
Smaller land.
Landmass wise,
Right.
landmass wise. Everybody says smaller?
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody know what the weighing belief system in India is?
India.
Very good. And anybody have any idea how many of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites there are? I think the United States has 24, if that's a reference. Okay. 3.7 billion, rapidly gaining on China. U.S. is 328 million, that's just for comparison. 3 times smaller than the U.S. So I love to put that in perspective because I'm a visual kind of person. So if you had like the square mile, you know, India would have 1,192 people in that little square mile, and the U.S. would have 93. So, you know, when they say when you go to India, and I'm sure you probably experienced this too, it is like a full frontal assault on all of your senses. I mean, it hits everything. It's, you know, sight, sound, smell, noise. It is just everything. And that's the best description I think I've ever heard of India, is the full frontal assault on all of your senses. And 38 World Heritage Sites, which it's such a contrast. There are things that blow your mind with the beauty. There's just a comparison for India and the United States. Just
What is the World Heritage?
it is UNESCO is the United Nations education something and culture sites. So basically, you have to be registered. United Nations votes whether it's a cultural importance, historical importance, whatever, and then they vote you in and you get that status. So that's what that is. Anybody know what that is? That is the entrance to the Taj Mahal. So the Taj Mahal is stunning in itself, but even look at the way in is unbelievable. There's a little viewpoints on the as we're walking through. And the reason I put this on here is just to kind of give an overall picture of India, because again, it is such a contrast in wealth and beauty, and then poverty, and it's an amazing place. And again, anyway, it's just a little tidbit about the Taj Mahal, because you know when you go to India, that's what you want to see. They say if they built it today, it'd be $827 million to build. But they said it'd be easier because now we have the aid of computers and engineers and all that. And back then they had hand labor; everything was carved, and you know, artisans were brought in to make it all. So anyway, kind of a heck of a burial place for 2 people. That's our group. That's the Blue Bus group in front of the Taj Mahal. I'll put a plug in for real quick for Howard Tours, is who I went on my trip with to India, and they were phenomenal. That's Brad Howard kneeling down front. A heck of a Rotarian, fantastic guy. Has worked tirelessly on polio and everything for a long time. And if you ever get an opportunity to go with the Howard Tours, I would highly recommend them. They were fantastic. This is just, again, some tourist information on India. This is a tower that was built in 1199, which blows me away. They built this, and the interesting thing about this is they defaced a lot of, they went and took a whole bunch of stuff from India and built that mosque, and everything that didn't have their belief system on it, they defaced. Like they took off the fronts of the statues, or they would turn the blocks around to build things so that nobody could tell it was somebody else's. So it's a real hodgepodge, but it was kind of interesting. This is in Jaipur. This is, you know, with Hindu, they believe in astrology and astronomy, and this was built in the 1700s, and it's an amazing place. They have the world's largest sundial. I don't know if it's the largest. It may be the largest. Anyway, it's really big, and it's still accurate within, I think they said, like 3 seconds. Incredible. And again, to have this built in the 1700s, they did parallels on astronomy and astrology and the rise and fall of latitude and altitude and all that, depending on how the sun went. This is just another one of the many castles and mosques there. I like this because it kind of shows all the minarets, the little things, the little turrets, or whatever we want to call them, the round things. There's a lot of that. India has so many influences on their architecture, just because they've been taken over and taken back and then overrun by somebody else. You know, their last British rule in India ended in, I think it was 47 or 48, somewhere in there. So, you know, that is still a fairly new country. Again, 1 minute. The interesting thing about some of that there, this is where they would hide the queens. The queens were not allowed to be seen out in public, but they could have little windows up in the castles or the mosques or the buildings they were in, and they could look out. So they would have these little tiny windows. So if you were the queen, that's what your view would be. You had to stay behind closed doors. This is just an example of some of the beauty. There were like 8 doors in this little place, and you could rent it out and have your wedding there. And I think it was like, I don't remember the dollar amount. Unbelievable to have your wedding in this little courtyard, but with all these, the architecture. This is the way we got around India. You had to have a driver and a guide, and our driver deserves a unparalleled praise. He was amazing. That is a lime with chili peppers, and that is supposed to ward off bad spirits and keep you safe as you're driving around. So traffic in India is unbelievable. It is like going through a little tunnel, I guess, or like a little, so you have a big bus. The big things have their right of way. Everything else fills in next to it. So you have, you know, people on horses, donkeys, carts, bicycles, motorcycles, and the traffic is all just, and it does not stop. It just moves, and you just make way, give way, and I mean, there's literally that much room in between you and the next car. So it's pretty fun, and I'm thankful I didn't have to drive, but our drive was phenomenal. And then you might have an occasional cow out in the middle of nowhere, because that's what they do. The cows are going to do whatever they want to do. Just another typical road. You can see how crazy busy it is and how many people are there. If you value personal space, India may be a challenge for you. Just showing again the roadside, cows just out in the middle of nowhere and anywhere. I showed this was going down the road because we were laughing, saying the pigeons were going to eat most of their feed. But another interesting thing about the Hindu is they truly believe in taking care of everything. So every day you are supposed to feed something, whether it's you're scattering bird seed out, feeding. There were like, I mean, we made 2 cats, but there were several dogs and stuff. So you just fed whatever you had the capability to feed, and that was a task. So one of the things about overcoming polio in India is the lack of, other than the lack of vaccinating, is the basic sanitation and hygiene. In India, they believe in open waste, so that means if you need to use the restroom, you can go wherever you want, whenever you want. There was some laws trying to be posted to do away with that, but I think it's a long process to get anything overturned there. So between the open waste, hand washing, and being able to have good sanitary food preparation, that makes it a challenge. Polio spread. I'm sure if somebody went to those other seminars, they told you it comes out in your waste, and then if a fly lands on the waste and then goes and lands on food, and you ingest that and you've not been vaccinated, that's kind of just a quick version of how polio can be spread. So you see some of these pictures, you'll understand why that's an easy thing to do. This is nomads, take their little tents with them, and they go all over the countryside, and so obviously without having formal restrooms or anything, so they just go wherever. I always love these pictures too. This is in Delhi. Delhi is a really, really amazing, beautiful city, and the chemicals and the smog and the pollution hurt your eyes and lungs. Many people, if you're not used to it, wear masks and stuff. And I'm pretty sure they don't have any electrical codes. That's one of the things we were cracking up over. They just run lines wherever. It does not matter. If you want to hook something up or something stops working, at least in these areas, they didn't take anything down. They would just loop it over a tree, over a sign, over whatever. Didn't matter. So didn't see any fires when we were there, though. That was kind of cool. This is another thing they do. They get milk. So there's government milk and then private milk, and this is the way people make money. But what those little cans on the ground, people will go, and there's different fat contents in milk. So they would dip your hand down in and lift it out, and if the milk were full of fat, it kind of sticks to your hand, and if it's more watery, it comes off. They don't wash their hands in between. It's just, you go to the market, you dip your hand down in, and then you figure out what you want, and they pour it in there. So kind of, yeah, I know, isn't that? But it's just a different, way of doing things. Another just city, as you're going around, you just see people everywhere. A lot of the men have little shops, and the women will stay home and do a lot of the work. They're still kind of that way. So the men will come and they have little stands set up, and they may sell fruit or vegetables or make marigold leis, or there's just all sorts of things. Again, you can see the waste and the cows. They are also obviously open waste for the animals as well, but you see people just standing out in the middle of everything. There's pigs, and you can see how the water trickles down, how easily it would be if you had an outbreak with the water and the waste and the way everything is done, how it would be easy to spread. This is in Mawat. This is like a suburb of Delhi, and it is one of the poor areas where we did vaccinations. This is the inside of a family's home, and I think it's interesting just to see how people live. I can't remember how many people they said were in there. There's not a bed for everybody. There's several people on their little cots, but you know, they do their best to keep it nice and tidy on the inside. This is her kitchen. They hook up to propane. There is some electricity in here too. They all keep like a buffalo or a bison or whatever for their milk, and for I'll show you in a second. They do dung chips. They make everything. That's where she would cook food. So there's like a little fire pit there, and that's where the woman. These are mostly Muslim women. They are all going to the well there to get water. And you know, what's water? How much is water? Like a gallon of water, 8 pounds
8
roughly.
pounds, yep.
So 5-gallon buckets on your head, and they carry that, and they're full. Just incredible. And I love it because usually when we're watching all this, the women are coming and going. They're making these, you'll see in a second, the little dung piles. They're carrying the water, and the guys are just kind of looking around. They don't do that. So this is one of the family, that little room I just showed you a minute ago. And I just love their little faces. It's like being a celebrity. They're so happy to see you. And I'm sure the others have been to other third world countries. You get that. You know, they just are so grateful for that. This is on the opposite side of that little area, again, just showing why we have the issues. This is the guy who makes marigolds. Whenever you go anywhere, again, you feel like a celebrity, and they make little marigold leis. So you have the fresh scented marigolds that they put around your neck. And anyway, that's just what he does to try and make money. This is a rug stamper. This is another job. This guy is an artisan, though. He's been doing this for years, and they hand stamp all these blankets and rugs. Interesting thing, I didn't know, if you ever want to see if your wool rug is a fake or if it's a real authentic rug, they burn the back because it burns off the strings, but it won't burn. But if it's plastic or whatever, it'll melt. So next time you go shopping, just take your little blowtorch, check it out, ask if they mind. So that was something I thought was very interesting. But beautiful rugs, beautiful things. These guys are just selling whatever they've grown or whatever they've traded for out on the streets. Same thing there. Just want everybody to get a feel for. You know, I think what we're doing there is amazing, but I think you need to get a feel for the people and why we do the things we do and how they live. I'm more of I love the numbers and the figures and the facts, but I want to know the people. I want to know the culture. I want to know what makes them tick, why they do or don't do what they do as far as vaccinations. Women doing laundry. Again, you see that huge basket. They carry everything down. They beat it out. They lay it there flat to dry, or they sometimes take it back and will put it over their huts and stuff to dry. And I also love, it's beautiful because everything's dark, but you have these bright pops of color in their clothes, and it's just, again, it's just that disparity between the surroundings and the beauty of the people and the culture. Just, it's funny, you go around and there's, you know, they're kind of built up on top of each other, but then you'll see like a satellite dish or somebody with their phone. So there's another thing. There she is drying her clothes on the outside of her home there. This woman in the green has that big bowl. She will go out into the fields where some of the cows and bison and stuff are. She collects all the dung, and then the girl in the gold there will sit all day long like that. And I don't know if you've ever tried to sit like that. I can barely do it for 30 seconds, let alone for half a day. She did not move the whole time. That's what she sat and did all day. So the lady in the green's collecting the dung. They take it back to her, dump it in that pile. She mixes it with water and packs it out. And then they make it into flat discs. And those looks like little wheels on there. Those are those dung discs, and those are drying. And then when they're done, they'll use it and they make houses out of that. So that's sometimes how they'll live. And it doesn't smell. You would think it would have an odor. When it's dry, it's kind of like, you know, I guess horse poop or whatever. It's not, it wouldn't want a home, but, you know, if you didn't have to, but it's not as horrible. But just again, showing how people live and exist. You do what you have to do. Little girl doing her share, taking the water. Then again, there's a water source there, and it's just filled with debris and garbage. They do have dark garbage. I don't want to say garbage pickup loosely. They have bins that you can dump the garbage in, but obviously it really doesn't get used. So again, the roadside, just you see people just kind of stacked on top of each other. So Rotary in India is huge. They have great clubs. They work really hard and trying to develop good relationships and to try to teach people who are in poverty about good hygiene. They try to educate them. They are building toilet blocks and hand washing stations so people will learn to maybe not spread disease, because obviously polio is not the only thing that's spread through waste and lack of sanitation. One of the things about the restrooms is the girls, especially in the poverty areas, there's a lot of Muslim populations for some reason. And those girls, if there isn't a place to use the restroom or be private, they won't go to school. So they have tons of boys going to school, but very few girls. So if you get these restrooms where they can go and have privacy, they will go to school. And they say if you educate a girl, you're educating an entire family, because usually in India, they grow up, they're the ones who teach everybody everything. So if you start out young and teach them the things that they need to do for safety and sanitation, then again, you keep educating the next generation. So the Rotary clubs there also work on literacy, VOTEC programs, and education, and they have eye clinics. And these are all Rotary Foundation. So you see, this is school. Again, they sit the same way all day. You see all the boys on the top of it, and then see there's just very few girls there. This is a sample of one of the restrooms, the toilet blocks that they're trying to get installed in all the neighborhoods. So, and some people are even getting it in their homes. So, which is great. So hopefully that will help cut down the spread. This is in a school. This is a hand washing station in the restroom that they installed. Everybody knows, we have our Western toilets here. In India, it's 99.9% you squat. They don't have toilet paper. They have water that is like a little hose on the wall, and that's how you rinse off. So if you go to India, take plenty of tissue with you. That's just, part of it. But anyway, these are clean facilities, so waste is getting properly treated. That's Brad and Jolene. Again, that's Brad Howard, and we were dedicating this toilet block in front of this slum area. And they call them slums. That's why I say slums. That's what they call them there, too. In the slum area, educating the kids, trying to get them. So there you go. Brand new toilet for everybody to use, which is awesome. This is the school that the local Rotary clubs help with. They're trying to, again, break that poverty. You see all the little kids. You get that celebrity welcome. It's amazing. This is right across from that school. So on one side you have the school, on the other side you have the waste, the typical things. These are the girls learning a skill. So they're teaching them beauty, sewing, weaving. They do have a couple of computers in there, and they're trying to teach them, more modern ways of learning things. So, but they're trying to break that cycle of poverty and teach them good skills for future. So they're really trying hard. These are the girls putting henna tattoos on us, and these girls were beautiful. Oh my gosh, it was just. And you see the marigold leis around there, and you have to be careful with the leis. There's also monkeys all over India, and some of the monkeys are mean, and they want your leis. And they say even if the people have their windows open, the monkeys will go in through their windows and they'll want to take whatever food. They said let them, because if you try to take it from them, they're mean and they get vicious. So we were one place and they were trying to grab somebody's lei, and they were wanting to keep it, and the grab was like no, and took off and threw it, and the monkeys ran for it and then ran off. So you'll see the monkeys wearing our leis later on because they were bullies and they got them. Again, this is just educating the young women here in hopes of teaching them how to go on and rise above what they're doing and get out of poverty. This lady that I'm talking to right there, it was kind of cold that day, so my arms are crossed. You think of India as being 90 degrees, and it is, but not always. When we were there in February. Yeah, in February it was 50s and 60s. It was chilly. So we had some sunny days. It got warmer during the day, then obviously morning and evenings were cooler. She is an optometrist, though. Her parents believed in her and believed in her values. She was from a different region, though, than what we were in, and come to help Rotary do this eye clinic. Again, a predominantly Muslim area here where she's working. But I was talking to her about her education, and she said she was so blessed that she had parents who thought it was important to educate the girls as well as the boys. And so she's here giving back to the communities and helping Rotary out and do these eye clinics where they do vision checks, vision screenings, glaucoma, all that kind of stuff. So it was a really great experience getting to help in that. These guys are just getting information. One of them had like an eye infection, so they're handing out medication, explaining what's going on, explaining to them how they need to follow up on that. Okay, who doesn't love a selfie? So this is what cracks me up. So these are little kids, they all want to take selfies and they want to see them on your phone. Then you got the teenagers wanting to take selfies with you because they think that's cool. Then you got the older men wanting to take selfies. And so if somebody asks you to take a selfie, you do it. That's just what you do. So that was, I think that's part of that communication, building trust and building relationships that allows us to do what we do when we go into places. I think that's so important.
So do they call them selfies?
Yeah, absolutely. And the girls in the beauty school, they do the whole, they've got it, so they are, which is so funny. You think that they're so sheltered, just trying to survive and eat, and then they've got the whole, the whole thing down. It cracks me up. Okay, Polio Plus started in 1985, which is Rotary's involvement in this. So we do vaccinations, but they also try to do more. So some people who've been affected by polio may have recovered from polio, but you never, once you have polio, you always have it. There's post-polio happens later on. But they also help donate, when we send money, it also goes for food and clean water and carts. So these people who may be paralyzed from their waist down have carts and have mobility, and they can then have a job. So it's not just treating the disease, you're trying to treat everything to make them so the disease doesn't limit them, they can still go out and be productive and have a life and have a job and support their families. So the NID, which is what we were there for, the National Immunization Days, we vaccinated, the whole Rotary, 170 million children in 5 days. To me, that number is phenomenal. So that is all over India. They go on for months ahead of time, spreading the word, trying to educate, going to schools, and they make it a big deal. They have carnivals, they have festivals, they put it on buses, and the little rick-rack things that the guys drive around with bicycles and cart people around. I mean, they are everywhere, trying to play that up and make it a big deal so that everybody knows about it. And then they go out into churches or the center of a slum area, wherever a lot of people will be crossing, and that's where they set up and try to vaccinate people in there. After that first day of meeting the centralized area, the next 4 days are spent going door to door, going to mop-up programs, trying to make sure that people who maybe weren't there the first time get it. What you do, and I'll show you a picture later on, it's the purple pinky. If you guys have heard about that, it's the purple pinky. Whenever you vaccinate them, you put that indelible ink on their pinky finger, and that way they've been vaccinated. And it's kids 5 and under. The whole global polio eradication is Rotary, WHO, UNICEF, the CDC, and the Gates Foundation, which matches donations. So if we give $1, they're going to give $2. So that makes $3. So Gates Foundation has really put a lot toward this. It is a huge undertaking, tons of money, and it still takes tons of money to do that. The hardest problem is building trust. There's a lot of misinformation out there. People think that we're trying to poison them, we're trying to sterilize the women. There's political issues involved. There's just the plain literacy and the lack of education and not knowing. They think we're trying to perform experiments on them. So there's a lot of relationship building that needs to happen in order for all those things to be, to overcome all those things. This is a school where we went. They were having a carnival for the polio, and this is one of the things they did. And this is just beautiful. They dress the kids up, they greet us, they throw marigolds after you get your marigold grease. They always give the dot on your head for the knowledge and the welcome. They say namaste for everything. This is right before, they have singers and dancers, and like I said, puppets, and a huge rally. You see all these kids, and they're excited about this. This is like our kids, going to a concert or going to the fair or something. This is their excitement. This is a really big deal for them. They had people greeting us and playing songs. You see people affected by Rotary, but they put that on there to get education out there. They ride all over, just again trying to spread the word. That is awesome. She's like, as you're walking by, just spraying you with little miracle powders. I think she's just beautiful. They do this wherever we go. So this is another beautiful. These are pebbles and stones and flowers, and isn't that just stunning? I mean, and to be welcomed and to know that somebody values you so much. India is the most hospitable, welcoming place I think I've been, and it was just amazing. I just think that's a stunning picture. The thing that we have done through Rotary's polio program, we all need to give ourselves a little pat on the back for this because it's all of our donations. Everybody helps, whether it's donating money, time, effort, going to India, whatever. We've all, am I getting close?
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. You know, we've opened doors for communications. We've problem solved. This is the biggest thing. It was a complex way to distribute the vaccines and to remote and rural areas because it's okay to have it in maybe an urban area where you have refrigeration. Well, there's no refrigeration out in the middle of these places. So we've put in place the infrastructure for transportation and refrigeration. And because we do that for polio, now everybody else can piggyback onto that. They're doing mosquito nets. They're doing the MMR vaccines. They do dewormings. They do overall healthcare things from what we started here with the polio thing. So fantastic job, everybody. We did great, and it needs to continue on. There's still more to be done, but those are just great things that we've done. 5 years and under, told you about the purple pinky. This is our healthcare worker. We were set up at the very back end of the Mawat slum area. We had a pretty good group of kiddos that came through. I think in our little area in Mawat, I think we did like 125 kids, and we were on mop-up days. There was a shortage of vaccines, so that was one of the issues. We weren't sure we were going to be able to do anything at all. But you see her cooler, they have the thermometer in there to see the temperature. That's it. That's what all of this goes for. That is a live vaccine, so it's an oral administered vaccine. It's 2 drops, if you've heard everybody say. 2 pink drops are magic. And kids 5 and under, and they try to do that more. They want to hit them anywhere from 7 to 25 times with the vaccine, over and over, because it has to hit your GI tract in order for it to be effective, and they're not always sure how, if we're getting everybody, and they are constantly stressed with the polio virus. You know, it's always out there in the endemic, so they're trying to make sure that they get vaccinated. That's me administering my little one there. And then afterwards, we're handing out stickers and little things, and they love that. And everybody's curious. The women want to come out and they want to talk to you, but they're pretty shy. So we and that's who you want to get, though. Again, the moms are going to be the ones bringing the little ones in. So the little ones come first because they're all curious to see you hand out stickers, and then they go back and then they get their brothers and sisters, and then the mom may come, or an older sibling. So it's pretty neat. This was the last year for the oral vaccine, for the live vaccine. Now they're going to the killed virus. India is considered polio free since I think 2011. I think is when it was. Is that right? Yeah. And so anyway, they still monitor and try to take samples to make sure there's no wild polio out there. There, as you've heard probably lately, Afghanistan and Pakistan, I think somebody just did a Pakistan talk, are surging in polio again. 42 cases. In 2018, I think there were like low 30s, and now there's up to 42. Nigeria's another one, and now was the Philippines? I think we just read in September.
Yeah.
There was an outbreak there, 2 cases. So what happens when there's a case like that, they try to go in, I can show you guys that, that's just boring, they try to go in and quickly take the samples, they canvass the area, make sure who's vaccinated, try to get people vaccinated and contain it. Sometimes they think it's a derivative of the live polio vaccine that is shed through the stools, but then it can mutate, and you have to be concerned about, which is not a huge deal, and it's a huge deal, but it's not a huge deal if everybody's vaccinated. It's the people who are not vaccinated, and they get exposed to that, and then the whole process starts over again. So that's why it's so important to make sure that they keep getting everybody. This is a hospital in Delhi who worked with polio patients, so this was amazingly older kids. St. Stephen's treats everybody for free. Dr. Matthew is what we called him. He developed a treatment protocol for these kids who are teenagers or a little bit older now. They try to get them so they can have an independent life. That's just the hospital ward. That's Dr. Matthew, who was amazing. These are some of the patients there. They keep them in traction and do surgery, and they try to make it so they can walk with a walker or a prosthetic so they can have a normal life. This is the Jaipur Foot and Limb Factory. They make same-day service. You can go in not having a limb, and you can come out having a limb. And they do it for, I think it was, if you could pay, it was like $60 for a limb. And these limbs are amazing. They were actually jointed, so you can actually, it's like a PVC material, and they melt it down, form it to the person, and they have hinges, so it's not just like where they have to keep their legs stiff all the time. They actually made it so they could bend their knee and run. So you go in the morning, and these are the foot molds. You figure out which foot works best for you, and then they make that mold. And then here we are. It's packed in there. But you see these guys, once they have this, there's still a lot of stigma in India. So if you are paralyzed, or especially if you're a man and you can't provide for your family or be independent, there's a big stigma for that. Am I running out of time? You keep looking at me.
4 minutes.
4 minutes, oh my gosh.
You're-
So anyway, there they are,
You're there.
getting all these, getting their limbs and stuff done, and that is just amazing. And this is another part of the culture. This is over in the corner, the limb factory, their little shrine to their, I can't remember the elephant god's name, but this kid that was dropped out of what was it, MIT or something to that effect, and came home to India and built, the guy on the right has an artificial arm. And he's making it so he can use nerves and brain impulses and move his arm. So he was able to go pick up a Coke can and drink it. And the other part of this is it charges a cell phone.
I love it.
That. Oh, there's the mean monkeys. See, they've got our legs. Those are the mean monkeys. This is just a little part about India. This is Gandhi's worldly remains. So Gandhi was assassinated in Delhi, and they spread his ashes in a couple of places, but they did bury some here. This is everything he had when he died. There's his part of where some of his ashes were at. And I love this girl. She just looks like, to me, I love that smile. I love where she stands. It's like Wonder Woman. It's like, we're going to do this. I've got this. So I think that's my last slide. So this was great. These people are amazing, and the things that we can do, this is why we're doing what we're doing. These kids who, we want everybody to have a good future and to be able to grow up and have dreams and do what they want to do and not have to worry about being sick or being paralyzed. So it was great. It was a fantastic experience, and I would say anybody who has an opportunity to do so or whatever you can do to help in the cause it is important, because polio spreads and keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's a worldwide problem. We think, oh, we're safe here. And we are very good about vaccinating, but it is still a world health issue, so something to be concerned with. Is that it? Am I done? Okay. Any questions?
You have a couple minutes.
Okay. Yes.
The toilet blocks that you build, do you find people are willing to use them? Or?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they really were. Yes. And again, I think that goes with education and and I think part of it is too it's new and it's different, and I think they're learning that, okay, this is a good thing. Oh, okay. That way they're learning that they can overcome things, and it's kind of exciting, and it's especially with the little ones. They think it's cool. It's like, probably if you're a little kid, they're like, whoa, this is quite cool. So it helps when you do it younger as they get older. So, anybody else? Yes.
So Monica, I don't want to promise people things if I'm telling them wrong. So how available would you be if some of the clubs wanted to have you come and speak at their clubs?
I'd love to. I love spreading the word about it. I was telling Mary earlier, it kind of cracks me up. I feel like I'm just showing my vacation slides. So, but it's, it's an important time, and it's important to make those connections and to keep doing what we're doing. But yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come and speak anywhere. So I enjoy it. Yeah.
When India was declared polio free, that was really a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things they said about the polio campaign, if you can do it in India, you can do it anywhere.
Yes,
And
yes.
I think you showed us why it was such a problem.
Yeah, right, yeah. And now Afghanistan and Pakistan are obviously having the same issues, and there's more distrust there, but I think that's more for political reasons too. India had some political things to overcome, but definitely not as much as the others. So.
You say 170 million in 5 days. Is that just in India, or is it worldwide?
I think that's worldwide.
Another question.
Another question? Yes.
Yeah, so you said something about this last year they're doing the vaccinations, or?
Last year they're doing a live vaccination. So if you were to go back now and you want to do you'd have to be like a healthcare worker, an RN, a doctor, because we can train people. We went through training to do the oral vaccine, but then now it's injectable. So oral vaccine is a live virus, and then the injectable is a killed virus. So that's the difference. So, but yeah, so now they're not doing the oral vaccines anymore because they're at the status that they're at. So.
How long were you in India?
12 days, I
About
think.
12 days,
Yeah. Right.
How did you keep yourself safe?
You mean just just overall? Well, drink bottled water, be smart, be aware, don't go out after night by yourself. You're with a group most of the time, so you probably, as a woman, you wouldn't want to be separated off by yourself. But really, I never felt any unease. Every place we went, we were welcome. Even those who may be a little guarded over, our presence there and learning what we're doing, by the end of it would be kind of in the group and then laughing and smiling. It's amazing. even though we have that a language barrier, there's no communication barrier. If a smile goes a long way, and the sign language things you can figure out, and again, just, getting down the level with the kids, handing out stickers, and so that was how we did it. And I never really felt unsafe. And I think we had local guides too, like I said, our driver, and then we had 2 other people with us who kind of knew the community. Our guides, Indian guides, were phenomenal. They gave a lot of great history and a lot of good information. They were a wealth of education, having them along too, so that was good.
Any hesitancy about eating food?
Okay, so I'm not a big curry fan, and it is true, everything has curry in it. So they do like a light curry and then a strong curry, so usually it was light. But no, most of the places we went knew Howard Tours did a fantastic job. Like we would go to like a buffet, so both buses would meet there, we would have a buffet. It would be hotels and stuff that kind of knew how to deal with Western people and our sensitive GI tracts compared to what they
When she got back, we had to get a hamburger and French fries first thing.
Yeah.
Monty,
Absolutely. Yeah.
did you get to stay with Rotarian host families at any time?
No, which is so funny. I said India is like the most welcoming place, and they were all like, "You should have stayed with us. You could have stayed at our house." We're like, we're 80 people here at the time to get us all together. But the local Rotarian clubs, we went to 3 Rotary Club meetings, and then they had a special event one evening too. So we got to fraternize with a lot of the Rotarians from different clubs in there, and they were fantastic, and they were so friendly and great hosts. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up because I didn't give them enough credit. Their work really enables us to keep doing what we're doing too, because they really bridge that segue by doing their local work and then introducing. And there was also a group from Belgium there too. So there's plenty to do. Anybody else? Well, thank you all so much for listening to me and my. I know that was a lot of fast talking too. I didn't want to run out of time. So.